2 Samuel 11. And it came to be at the turn of the year, at the time sovereigns go out to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon, and they besieged Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. And it came to be at evening time that David rose up from his bed and walked about on the roof of the sovereign's house. And from the roof he saw a woman bathing, and the woman was very good to look at. And David sent and asked about the woman. And one said, "Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" And David sent messengers to fetch her. And she came to him, and he lay with her, for she was cleansing herself from her uncleanness. And she returned to her house. And the woman conceived and sent and informed David and said, "I am pregnant." Then David sent to Joab, "Send Uriah the Hittite to me." And Joab sent Uriah to David. And Uriah came to him, and David asked how Joab was doing, and how the people were doing, and how the fighting was going. And David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." And Uriah went out from the sovereign's house, and a gift from the sovereign followed him. But Uriah lay down at the door of the sovereign's house with all the servants of his master, and did not go down to his house. And they informed David, saying, "Uriah did not go down to his house." So David said to Uriah, "Did you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house?" And Uriah said to David, "The ark and Israel and Yehudah are dwelling in booths, and my master Joab and the servants of my master are encamped in the open fields. And should I go to my house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As you live, and as your being lives, let me not do this." And David said to Uriah, "Remain here today also, and tomorrow I let you go." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. And David called him, and he ate and drank before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his master, but he did not go down to his house. And it came to be in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, "Set Uriah in the front of the toughest battle, and you shall turn away from him, and he shall be stricken and shall die." And it came to be as Joab watched the city that he appointed Uriah to the place where he knew there were brave men. And the men of the city came out and fought with Joab, and some of the people of the servants of David fell, and Uriah the Hittite also died. And Joab sent and reported to David all the events of the battle, and commanded the messenger, saying, "When you have finished reporting all the events of the battle to the sovereign, then it shall be, if the sovereign's wrath rises, and he says to you, 'Why did you go so near to the city when you fought? Did you not know that they would shoot from the wall? Who struck Abimelech, the son of Yerubbesheth? Was it not a woman who threw an upper millstone on him from the wall, so that he died in Thebez? Why did you go near the wall? Then you shall say, Your servant Uriah the Hittite is also dead." And the messenger went and came and reported to David, and with which Joab had sent him. And the messenger said to David, "The men have been mighty against us, and came out to us in the field, but we drove them back as far as the entrance of the gate. And the archers shot from the wall at your servants, and some of the sovereign's servants are dead, and your servant Uriah the Hittite is also dead." And David said to the messenger, "Say to Joab, do not let this matter be evil in your eyes, for the sword devours one as well as another. Strengthen your attack against the city and overthrow it, and strengthen him." And the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah her husband was dead, and she lamented for her husband. And when her mourning was over, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the deed that David had done was evil in the eyes of Yahweh. Chapter 12. Then Yahweh sent Nathan to David, and he came to him and said to him, "There were two men in one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich one had flocks and herds, very many, but the poor one had only one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and kept alive, and it grew up with him, and with his children together. It ate of his own food, and drank from his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and it was like a daughter to him. And a traveler came to the rich man, who refused to take from his own flock, and from his own herd, to prepare one for the wayfaring man who would come to him. But he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who would come to him. And the wrath of David burned greatly against the man. And he said to Nathan, As Yahweh lives, the man who has done this is a son of death. Also he has to repay fourfold for the lamb, because he did this deed and because he had no compassion. Then Nathan said to David, You are the man. Thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, I anointed you sovereign over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Shaul, and I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom, and gave you the house of Israel and Yehudah. And if that were not enough, I also would have given you much more. Why have you despised the word of Yahweh to do evil in his eyes? You have struck Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and his wife you took to be your wife, and you have killed him with the sword of the children of Ammon. And now the sword does not turn aside from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus said Yahweh, See, I am raising up evil against you from your own house, and shall take your wives before your eyes, and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this sun. For you did in secret, but I shall do this deed before all Israel and before the sun. And David said to Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh. And Nathan said to David, Also Yahweh has put away your sin. You shall not die. However, because by this deed you have greatly scorned Yahweh, the child who is born to you shall certainly die. And Nathan went to his house, and Yahweh smote the child that Uriah's wife had borne to David, and he was sick. And David sought Elohim for the child, and David fasted and went in and spent all night lying on the ground. So the elders of his house stood up over him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, nor did he eat food with them. And on the seventh day it came to be that the child died, and the servants of David were afraid to inform him that the child was dead, for they said, Look, while the child was still alive, we spoke to him, and he would not listen to our voice. And how do we say to him that the child is dead? Then he shall do evil. And David saw that his servants were whispering, and David perceived that the child was dead. Then David said to his servants, Is the child dead? And they said, He is dead. David then rose up from the ground and washed and anointed himself and changed his garments. And he went into the house of Yahweh and bowed himself, then came to his own house and asked. And they set food before him, so he ate. And his servants said to him, What is this you have done? You fasted and wept because the living child, but when the child died, you rose up and ate food. And he said, While the child was alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, Who knows whether Yahweh shows favor unto me, and the child shall live? But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Am I able to bring him back again? Am I going to him? I am going to him, but he does not return to me. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went into her and lay with her. So she bore a son, and he called his name Shlomo. And Yahweh loved him, and sent by the land of Nathan the prophet, and called his name Yedidiah, because of Yahweh. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and captured the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have captured the city water supply. And now gather the rest of the people together, and encamp against the city, and capture it, lest I capture the city, and it be called after my name. And David gathered all the people, and went to Rabbah, and fought against it, and captured it. And he took their sovereign's crown from his head, and its weight was a talent of gold, with precious stones, and it was on David's head. And he brought out the spoil of the city, a very great amount. And he brought out the people who were in it, and set them to the saw, and to the sharp instruments of iron, to axes of iron, and made them pass over to the brickworks. And so he did with all the cities of the children of Ammon. And David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. Chapter 13. And after this it came to be that Absalom, son of David, had a beautiful sister, whose name was Tamar, and Ammon, son of David, loved her. And Ammon was distressed even to become sick because his sister Tamar, for she was a maiden, and it was hard in the eyes of Ammon to do whatever to her. And Ammon had a friend whose name was Yonadab, son of Shema, David's brother. Now Yonadab was a very wise man, and he said to him, "Why are you the sovereign's son, becoming thinner day after day? Explain it to me." And Ammon said to him, "I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." And Yonadab said to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, 'Please let my sister Tamar come and give me food, and make the food before my eyes so I can see it and eat it from her hand.'" So Ammon lay down and pretended to be sick. And when the sovereign came to see him, Ammon said to the sovereign, "Please let Tamar, my sister, come and make a couple of cakes for me before my eyes so that I eat from her hand." And David sent Tamar to the house, saying, "Please go to the house of your brother Ammon and make food for him." So Tamar went to her brother Ammon's house while he was lying down, and she took dough and kneaded it and made cakes before his eyes and baked the cakes. And she took the pan and turned them out before him. But he refused to eat, and Ammon said, "Make everyone go away from me." And they all went out from him. And Ammon said to Tamar, "Bring the food into the bedroom, that I eat from your hand." And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them to Ammon, her brother, in the bedroom. And she brought them to him to eat, and he took hold of her and said to her, "Come lie with me, my sister." And she answered him, "No, my brother, do not humble me, for this is not done so in Israel. Do not do this wickedness. And I, where could I take my shame? And you would be like one of the fools in Israel. And now please speak to the sovereign, for he would not withhold me from you." But he would not listen to her voice. And being stronger than she, he humbled her and lay with her. Ammon then hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love with which he had loved her. And Ammon said to her, "Arise and go." And she said to him, "No, for this evil of sending me away is worse than the other you have done to me." But he would not listen to her. And he called a young man serving him and said, "Now put this one out away from me, and bolt the door behind her." And she had a long coat, for the sovereign's maiden daughters wore such garments. And his servant put her out and bolted the door behind her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and tore her long coat that was on her, and put her hand on her head, and went away crying bitterly. And Absalom, her brother, said to her, "Has Ammon your brother been with you? But now keep silent, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this matter to heart." So Tamar remained in the house of her brother Absalom, but was ruined. And sovereign David heard all these reports, and he was very wroth. And Absalom spoke to his brother Ammon, neither good nor evil, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had humbled his sister Tamar. And it came to be after 2 years that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hatzor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the sons of the sovereign. And Absalom came to the sovereign and said, "See, your servant has sheep shearers. Please let the sovereign and his servants go with your servant." But the sovereign said to Absalom, "No, my son, let us not all go now, lest we be too heavy on you." And he urged him, but he would not go, and he blessed him. And Absalom said, "If not, please let my brother Amnon go with us." And the sovereign said to him, "Why should he go with you?" And Absalom urged him, so he let Amnon and all the sons of the sovereign go with him. And Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, "Watch, and when the heart of Amnon is glad with wine, and I shall say to you, 'Strike Amnon, then kill him,' do not be afraid. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and brave." Then the servants of Absalom did to Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the sons of the sovereign rose up, and each one mounted his mule and fled. And it came to be while they were on the way that news came to David, saying, "Absalom is struck, and all the sons of the sovereign, and not one of them is left." And the sovereign rose up and tore his garments and lay on the ground, and all his servants stood by with their garments torn. And Yonadab, son of Shema, David's brother, answered and said, "Do not let my master say they have killed all the young men, the sons of the sovereign, for only Amnon is dead. For by the mouth of Absalom this has been appointed from the day that he humbled his sister Tamar. And now let not my master, the sovereign, take the matter to his heart, to think that all the sons of the sovereign are dead, for only Amnon is dead. And Absalom fled, and the young man who was watching lifted up his eyes and looked and saw many people were coming from the way behind him on the side of the hill. Then Jonadab said to the sovereign, Look, the sons of the sovereign are coming, as your servant said, so it is. And it came to be, as soon as he had finished speaking, that look, the sons of the sovereign came. The sons of the sovereign came, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And the sovereigns too, and all his servants wept very bitterly. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, son of Ammihud, sovereign of Geshur, and David mourned for his son all the days. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. Sovereign David then longed to go to Absalom, for he had been comforted concerning Amnon, because he was dead. Chapter 14. And Joab, son of Zeruiah, knew that the heart of the sovereign was towards Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, brought from there a wise woman, and said to her, Please pretend to be a mourner and put on mourning garments, and do not anoint yourself with oil, but act like a woman who has been mourning a long time for the dead. Then you shall go to the sovereign and speak to him according to this word. And Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spoke to the sovereign, she fell on her face to the ground and did obeisance, and said, Save, O sovereign. And the sovereign said to her, What is your trouble? And she answered, Truly, I am a widow. My husband is dead. And your female servant has had 2 sons, and the 2 fought with each other in the field, and there was no one to part them, but the one struck the other and killed him. And see, the entire clan has risen up against your female servant and said, Give him who struck his brother, so that we put him to death, for the life of his brother whom he killed, and destroy the heir also. Thus they would extinguish my burning coal that is left, and leave my husband neither name nor remnant on the earth. And the sovereign said to the woman, Go to your house, and let me give commands concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the sovereign, My master, O sovereign, let the crookedness be on me, and on my father's house, and the sovereign and his throne be guiltless. And the sovereign said, Whoever speaks to you, bring him to me, and let him no longer touch you. And she said, Please let the sovereign remember Yahweh your Elohim, and the Redeemer of blood not destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And she said, As Yahweh lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. And the woman said, Please let your female servant speak a word to my master, the sovereign. And he said, Speak. And the woman said, And why have you reasoned like this against the people of Elohim? For in speaking this word, the sovereign is as one who is guilty, in that the sovereign does not bring his outcast one home again. For we shall certainly die and become like water spilled on the ground, which is not gathered up again. Yet Elohim does not take away a life, but shall devise ways so that his outcast ones are not cast out from him. And now I have come to speak this word to my master, the sovereign, because the people have made me afraid. And your female servant said, Please let me speak to the sovereign. It could be that the sovereign does what his female servant asks. For the sovereign has listened to deliver his female servant from the hand of the man seeking to destroy me and my son, together from the inheritance of Elohim. Then your female servant said, Please let the word of my master, the sovereign, be comforting. For my master, the sovereign, is as the messenger of Elohim, in discerning the good and the evil. And Yahweh your Elohim is with you. And the sovereign answered and said to the woman, Please do not hide from the matter that I am asking you. And the woman said, Please let my master, the sovereign, speak. And the sovereign said, Is the hand of Joab with you in all this? And the woman answered and said, As your being lives, my master, the sovereign, no one turns to the right or to the left from all my master, the sovereign, has spoken. For your servant Joab commanded me, and he put all these words in the mouth of your female servant. Your servant Joab has done this to change the appearance of the matter, but my master is wise according to the wisdom of a messenger of Elohim, to know all that is in the earth. And the sovereign said to Joab, See now, you shall do this matter. and go bring back the young man Absalom. And Joab fell to the ground on his face, and did obeisance, and blessed the sovereign. And Joab said, Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your eyes, my master, O sovereign, in that the sovereign has done the word of his servant. And Joab rose up and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the sovereign said, Let him return to his own house, but do not let him see my face. And Absalom went to his own house, and did not see the sovereign's face. And in all Israel there was no one who was praised as much as Absalom for his handsomeness. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And we cut the hair of his head, for it was at every year's end that he cut it, because it was heavy on him. When he cut it, he weighed the hair of his head to 200 shekels of the sovereign's weight. And to Absalom were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of beautiful appearance. And Absalom dwelt in Jerusalem 2 years, and he had not seen the sovereign's face. Then Absalom went for Joab to send him to the sovereign, but he would not come to him. And he sent again the second time, but he would not come. And he said to his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab rose up and came to the house of Absalom and said to him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom said to Joab, Look, I sent to you, saying, Come here, so that I send you to the sovereign to say, Why have I come from Geshur? It was good for me while I was there, and now let me see the sovereign's face. And if there is any crookedness in me, then you shall put me to death. Joab then went to the sovereign and informed him, and he called for Absalom, and he came to the sovereign and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the sovereign. Then the sovereign kissed Absalom. 15. And it came to be after this that Absalom prepared a chariot and horses for himself, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom used to ride early and stand beside the way to the gate. And it came to be, whenever anyone who had a complaint came to the sovereign for a right ruling, that Absalom would call to him and say, What city are you from? And when he said, Your servant is from such and such a tribe, is from such and such a tribe of Israel, Absalom would say to him, Look, your matters are good and right, but you have nobody from the sovereign to hear you. And Absalom would say, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, and everyone who has any complaint or case would come to me, and I shall let right be done to him. And it came to be, whenever anyone came near to bow down to him, that he would put out his hand and take hold of him and kiss him. And Absalom did this to all Israel who came to the sovereign for right ruling. And Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to be at the end of 40 years that Absalom said to the sovereign, Please, let me go to Hebron and pay the vow which I vowed to Yahweh. For your servant vowed a vow while I dwelt at Geshur in Aram, saying, If Yahweh indeed brings me back to Jerusalem, then I shall serve Yahweh. And the sovereign said to him, Go in peace. And he rose up and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the voice of the shofar, then you shall say, Absalom is sovereign in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men from Jerusalem who were invited, and they went along unsuspectingly and did not know the matter at all. Absalom also sent for Ahithophel, the Gilonite, counselor of David, from his city, from Giloah, while he slaughtered slaughterings. And it came to be that the conspiracy became potent, for the people with Absalom kept increasing. Then a messenger came to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. And David said to all his servants who were with him at Jerusalem, Rise up and let us flee, for none of us shall escape from Absalom. Go in haste, lest he overtake us quickly and bring evil upon us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. And the sovereign's servants said to the sovereign, Look, your servants shall do according to all my master the sovereign chooses. And the sovereign went out, and all his household at his feet. But the sovereign left 10 women, concubines, to look after the house. So the sovereign went out, and all the people at his feet, and they stood still at the last house. And all his servants were passing on at his side, and all the Kerethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men who had followed him from Gath, were passing on before the sovereign. And the sovereign said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why do you go, you also with us? Turn back and remain with the sovereign, for you are a foreigner, and also an exile from your own place. You came yesterday, and should I today make you wander up and down with us? When I am going wherever I am going? Return and take your brothers back. Loving commitment and truth be with you." And Ittai answered the sovereign and said, "As Yahweh lives, and as my master the sovereign lives, in whatever place my master the sovereign is, whether in death or life, let your servant also be there." Therefore David said to Ittai, "Go and pass over." And Ittai the Gittite and all his men and all the little ones who were with him passed over. And all the land was weeping with a loud voice, and all the people were passing over, and the sovereign himself was passing over the Wadi Kidron. And all the people were passing over toward the way of the wilderness. And see, Zadok also came, and all the Levites with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And they set down the ark of Elohim, and Abiathar went up until all the people completed passing over from the city. And the sovereign said to Zadok, "Take the ark of Elohim back to the city. If I find favor in the eyes of Yahweh, then he shall bring me back, and show me both it and his dwelling. But if he says thus, I have not delighted in you, here I am. Let him do to me as seems good in his eyes." And the sovereign said to Zadok the priest, "Are you not a seer? Return to the city in peace, and your sons with you. Ahimaaz, your son, and Jehonathan, son of Abiathar. See, I am waiting in the desert plains of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." And Zadok and Abiathar took the ark of Elohim back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. And David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives, and wept as he went up, and he had his head covered, and went barefoot. And all the people who were with him covered their heads, and went up, weeping as they went up. And David was informed, saying, "Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom." And David said, "O Yahweh, I pray you make the counsel of Ahithophel foolish." And it came to be that David came to the summit, where he bowed himself before Elohim, and saw Hushai the Archite coming to meet him, with his robe torn and dust on his head. And David said to him, "If you pass on with me, then you shall become a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, I am your servant, O sovereign, once servant of your father, but now I am your servant, then you shall nullify the counsel of Ahithophel for me. Are not Zadok and Abiathar the priests with you there? And it shall be that every matter you hear from the sovereign's house, you should report to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. See, there with them are their 2 sons, Amihat, Zadok's son, and Jehonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send me every matter you hear." And Hushai, David's friend, went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Have a blessed day. Shalom.